RWBY Volume 2, Episode 6, Burning the Candle. This was definitely a great emotional and character developing episode. It had its funny moments, very, very small funny moments, but for the most part, this was just a completely serious episode, and I really loved it for that. The biggest surprise I actually got out of this episode is that it still ends within the dance. I thought this was going to be like the second part of the dance and it would be over, but I think next week is going to be the end of the dance. I don't know if we're actually going to get a crazy fight scene with Emerald and Mercury there. I kind of doubt they're gonna blow their cover in the next episode at the dance. But I'm excited for what's gonna happen in the next one, and I'm really, really hoping. I think like everyone is after this one, that next week is gonna be when we finally get to see Pyrrha and Jean get together, because in this one they had a really great moment with Jean trying to get help from Ren. And that was where one of the funny moments came in, like Ren's shirtless and stuff in a towel, and he's just trying to put his clothes on, and then Nora was in there just sitting with the headphones on and stuff. So that was a funny moment, but it was really emotional. He was, Jean is still really worried about trying to be with Weiss. He really likes her. He appreciates her. He likes her. She sings, looks, and everything, and he wants to tell her that without it all going wrong. And Pyrrha pushes him to do that, and she says, "You can't have it. It can't be wrong if it's the truth." And when he leaves out, I love the scene where Nora says, "Practice what you preach." And it was just really cool that they recognize the fact that Ren and Nora do actually, like, clearly see that Pyrrha likes Jean, and that she just won't say it. They want her to do what she told Jean to do. So I really love that scene in the episode. Of course, I think probably the best part of this episode was definitely Yang talking to Blake, though, because not only was it just emotional because Yang showed a really great connection with Blake, which I feel like we haven't really had that type of connection. We haven't had a real big connection with a lot of the characters, because typically speaking, it's Team RWBY for each episode. So we rarely ever get these episodes where two separate characters just get to have their moments where it's actually an emotional talk, and it's not like they just happen to have a really cool fight scene together. They really have a sit down moment, and they just go through some serious crap, and that's what happened in this episode. And Yang tells Blake the story about basically the two dead lovers almost, and like her father. So that was a really good story, talking about Summer Rose, who is RWBY's mother, and then her mother, who we don't find out the name, and we still don't find out their father's name. But we get the story, and something that they kind of leave open is that Yang's mother could easily be alive. She just abandoned her, I don't know, husband or boyfriend or whatever, but she abandoned her family really, and just poof, she's up and gone. And Yang really didn't know what happened, and she didn't even know that Summer Rose wasn't her mother until much later on. So I wonder if RWBY even knows that Yang has a different mother, and maybe she thinks, or heck, maybe they were even told by their father, like, Yang, you have a different name because it's to honor this person or whatever, and it's not because you have a different mother. So I'm very curious if that'll come up later in this season, but I definitely love the story. I also really love the art style that they used. It reminded me of certain indie games. There's one specific game, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it had that kind of cool chalk type of art style to it. I really loved it. I thought it was great. We sort of got to see a silhouette of Crow, so that was interesting. And also, we learned that Crow, who is their uncle, actually was on the same team as their father. So it makes me wonder if he's more like their father's best friend, and that's why he counts as their uncle, if it's kind of like that type of relationship. But it was cool. We got to see him. We saw his semblance, so that was interesting. He actually looked a lot like Adam in the little silhouette they showed. He looked just like Adam to me, but I highly doubt that the age difference is just going to be like, surprise, it's Adam actually. But it was cool to get that background story. Everyone knew that they were stepsisters, like we all knew they were stepsisters, but the in-depth story about it was definitely very interesting and stuff. So we learned what happened with Yang's mother. We learned that she's possibly out in the world. I feel like since they didn't say she died or that she found her body or anything like that, I feel like it's just saying like she's going to be in this series at some point, probably not this season, but it's going to be a story down the line where we get to meet their father, and her mother comes back, and then this whole family thing happens where RWBY finds out that Yang is only her stepsister and stuff like that. But this might kind of play into the thing, because I remember some people were saying like Cinder is Yang's mother. I remember reading that or something, but I thought that was kind of funny, and it kind of just pushes it a little bit more towards making people believe that. but I highly doubt that's the case either. But I definitely love this episode. Um, the stuff with Jean was also kind of sad when he actually saw Weiss talking to Neptune, and it was just like, oh, that was honestly like the saddest part to me because he was in that really hopeful moment where it was like we all knew it wasn't gonna work because we all know it's gonna be Pierre and Jean, but it was like when he saw it that way and like he was finally in the zone, he was focused, he knew what he was gonna do, and he had the rose and stuff, and it was a or like a white flower, it looked like a white rose, and he was gonna take her the flower and stuff, and he had his mindset, and then he walked in, or I guess walked around the corner really, and he heard what she said, and he was just like hurt, and he dropped the flower, and he just walks away. So I'm sure we'll get to see what happens with him in the next episode, but I definitely love this one. Ended on an interesting cliffhanger. Like I said, I thought this was going to be the end of the dance, and this was where we would actually see Pyrrha when she comes to the party in like the red dress, if I remember right from the trailer. But we have to wait till next week. We'll have to see what Emerald and Mercury are going to be doing. I don't know if we're going to see Cinder there. I feel like she would have shown up with them, but at the same time, she could easily just be wandering around the school trying to figure out what's happening. And also, they'd have an easy excuse because I'm sure not everyone's going to be like, yeah, let's all go to the dance. Some people are just going to be like, man, I don't really want to do that. So she has a really simple excuse, but I'd like to see what she's doing. If she's even at the school, she could just be off, doing whatever with Roman. But I love the episode. Also love the couple of callbacks they had, like the one with Nora. For one, she had the shirt that says Boop, so I thought that was pretty funny. She says, like, with her and Ren, she's like, we're not together. I thought that was a cool reference. And Sun with the tie, which I thought was a really funny moment, is like a neck trap. And Blake says, I knew you'd look better with the tie, which was a reference to him saying, I knew you would look better without the bow. So I thought the callbacks were pretty cool, which we've been constantly getting this season, and I love it every time they do it because it's really subtle. And sometimes it's almost in the exact same sort of situation where they reference it and they have the same person say the same thing they said. It was like two people versus this one person, like when they had the freeway chase, and it was Sun and Blake versus Roman before everyone else jumped in, and Sun was like, whoa, and he jumped onto another car. So that was I love the references we get to volume 1. But great episode, really excited for next week. Of course, comment below, let me know what you guys thought about this one, your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. Like I said, definitely a great character developing episode. It was cool to see the connection between Yang and Blake. It was cool to see just all of Team Juniper, really, because I mentioned, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we had the episode with Pyrrha, or last week, I mean. We don't really get to see a lot of Ren and Nora, so it was cool to have them in there and have some pretty long segments with them actually in the scene. But what was your favorite part of this episode? I think it was a really emotional one, so what would you say is your favorite part of this one, and what storyline, I guess, did you appreciate the most this time around? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.